Alright, now I was supposed to watch Odd Taxi next, but I think I'm gonna skip ahead to Heaven's Feel just because I want to end with Odd Taxi because so many people are calling it anime of the season, and from what I've seen of it, I'm gonna trust them on it. So we're gonna skip ahead and watch the Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel movie trilogy. Alright, so I just watched all three Heaven's Feel movies. I had previously seen the first two, I think twice actually, because I saw them both when they came out and I was able to rip them. And then I rewatched them in anticipation for going to see the third one in theaters, but then COVID, and I didn't want to get the older people in my family sick, so I just bailed on that. So I've finally gotten around to it, and general thought right out of the gate, this is what I've always wanted Fate to be, in a sense. And there's a kind of a convoluted reason for that, but Fate is nothing but convoluted, so let's just dive in. So, if for some reason you aren't familiar with Fate at this point, strap in. You can go watch... Giguk has a good 5-minute video on how to get into the Fate franchise that very, very quickly sums up a lot of it. But the general point is, okay, so Fate is based on blah blah visual novel, whatever. So the reason I say that this is what I've always wanted Fate to be is because Fate isn't really complete without Heaven's Feel. Like, there's a reason they tell you you have to play out the visual novel in the order of Fate, UBW, Heaven's Feel. And it's because it really isn't a complete story in any sense until you get to Heaven's Feel. Which, if you want to call that a flaw, sure, go ahead. But it still but when you actually get to Heaven's Feel, you finally realize all those thematic pieces that felt either kind of unanswered or just very haphazardly just closed off at the end of UBW, like especially stuff concerning Shiro's character, those are fleshed out much more with Heaven's Feel. Like like I always felt like what. And again, I haven't seen UBW since it aired, so that was 6 years ago. But after that aired, I always felt like the Hero of Justice thing was not 100% fleshed out for Shiro. It was for Kiritsugu, because that had to be a self-contained story. And Shiro is kind of supposed to be the answer to the contradiction that Kiritsugu came to at the end. Because, like, obviously in Fate Zero, Kiritsugu kind of ends broken. And his ideas are totally trampled on. And so Shiro, in a sense, is supposed to be the successor to Kiritsugu's ideals. He's not supposed to be Kiritsugu. He's supposed to be the answer to Kiritsugu, in a sense. Although this is a backwards way of writing it, because Kiritsugu wasn't really a fully fledged character. Well, actually, I've never played the visual novel, so I don't know if he was a fully fledged character before Fate Zero came along. See, this is why it's so hard to talk about Fate. I haven't even gotten to whether this is good or bad yet. And I've already been talking for like 2 or 3 minutes trying to explain Fate, which is the wrong way to go about it, because, again, that's why UBW, like, I liked UBW, but it still left me a little hollow in a certain sense, because UBW was a lot of explaining. It was a lot of, this is how this magic system works. This is how this servant works. This is how this battle worked. And that's fun for UBW, but it leaves certain things a little hollow. Like, character-wise, it leaves certain things a little hollow. And Heaven's Feel works because it doesn't need to do that. Like these movies totally 100% expect you to have seen everything Fate up until now. It expects you to know the Fate route. Well, not really the Fate route, because the Fate route is kind of... See, okay, unpopular opinion or not, whatever, I thought the Dean adaptation was average. Wasn't great, wasn't awful, it was average. I'm sure if I watched it a second time I would hate it, but when I watched it the first time I thought it was average. But the Ufotable Fate verse kind of just says fuck it to the Fate route, in a sense. But Heaven's Feel, it expects you to have seen Fate Zero, it expects you to have seen UBW, and so with all that out of the way, it doesn't have to explain its stupid magic bullshit. I'm sorry, Fate fans, the magic is bullshit half the time. It really is. Like, and instead of just going, it's magic, I ain't gotta explain shit, Fate insists on explaining its magic, which does not work half the time. So, the reason Heaven's Feel is so good is because, like, 90% of the time, 90 to 95% of the time, it's like, no, we don't gotta explain this shit. You already watched UBW. We don't have to explain the fucking magic again. Let's just go with the characters, go with the action, go with the themes. And it somehow managed to condense all of Heaven's Feel into 6 hours. A little under 6 hours, actually, which I imagine is not an easy feat. Because, like, UBW was, let's see, 24 episodes plus 2 half-length episodes, so 26 episodes times 25. About twice that. Yeah, this is about Heaven's Feel. Like, they somehow again, because they were able to cut out all the stupid magic bullshit, they were able to condense it down into this nice little 6 hour just absolute marathon of content. Like, this, even when it's being slow, it doesn't feel slow. It doesn't feel like it's dragging. Like, the first half hour of the first movie is just like setup, like just like a just flashback to Shiro and Sakura getting to know each other, and I like that they really take that time to really get these characters to know each other, so that when they start to fall in love with each other, it feels so much more believable to the audience, and we don't have to listen to the stupid magic bullshit intervening in the interweaving of that. But yeah, I actually, like, really got into the relationship of Shiro and Sakura in this. That I would say of the three, again, this is the anime version of it, but of the three routes, I would say their relationship was the most interesting and most believable. And it's entirely based on so many of the different things. This is probably the most dense that Fate has ever been, too. Like, I talk about purpose, the nature of evil, the nature of justice, and punishment, and such, and familiar relationships, and it's just, and purity, and it's so tight and so interwoven into each other that it really feels like a dense thematic package that I can really dive into. It's not 100% perfect, but it was pretty damn fucking good. And there were a few times where it's started to dip into the stupid Fate bullshit, like when they tried to explain Anya Mayu, however you pronounce that, the 8th servant class. Like 3 minutes into Ilya's speech on it, I had like 5 different questions about how this is supposed to work within Fate lore. But fortunately, it was dumbed down enough to be like, This is big bad evil. I'm like, cool, should have said that from the beginning. But yeah, this was just really fun, and of course it's ufotable, so fucking phenomenal animation. Another little bit of mildly spicy take. I don't think this is the best looking thing I've seen this year. Cause like ufotable has a lot of really big highs, like their fucking background art is phenomenal. The character animation is really solid. The fight animation is phenomenal. But it does have a couple low points. Like, I still will always harp on ufotable for not fully making all the elements cohesive with each other. Like, there will be, especially in the action sequences, when they just have, like in the first movie, there's that fucking CG truck thing that just looked so shiny and weird. In the third movie, like, the collapsing stone around them just looked like a fucking PS2 game. PS2 is a little too hard, maybe PS3 game, but it's a problem I've always had with ufotable, where the different elements aren't always meshed together completely. And there were also some weird just animation elements in general, in particular with moving and running. Maybe it was like a joke, but the way Lancer moves in the first movie just looks kind of funny. And I'm not 100% sure if it was supposed to be a joke or not. But overall, those are just my nitpicks about it. Overall, it's a fucking phenomenal looking movie. I'm trying to I'm trying to think of a reason not to give it a 9, really, because like by a description of what I've said so far, this should be like one of my favorite things, but even then, it's still tied down by certain fate bullshitty things. It almost feels like I'm trying to come up with a reason to not give it a higher score, but I don't know. We'll leave it as is. Oh, and the music. Again, Yuki Kadra, really solid, but, and I posted this on Twitter, but they really rely heavily on arrangements of the end credits songs in these movies. Like, it pops up so fucking frequently, and like once you actually know the end credits song, you can't unhear it, and so it starts to become distracting. Like, oh, there's that song again. Oh, there's that song again. So that could have done a little bit better, but overall, really fucking good movie series. I'm glad I stuck it out till the end, stuck through all the Fate bullshit to get to the really interesting part of Fate. So, yeah, would definitely recommend this, so long as you watch all the other Fate stuff first. All the mainline Fate stuff. You don't have to watch the spin-off bullshit. Please don't watch the spin-off bullshit. Except for Collide Liner. Because reasons. I'm going to stop right there. Alright, after all that hemming and hawing, I decided, fuck it, why not just put it where I really fucking enjoyed these movies. So we're gonna put it right under Season 2 of Megalobox, and we're gonna scroll up so you can see it. Yep, we're gonna give it a light 9. So, very solid end to the Fate series, and eventually I'm just gonna go back and watch the whole thing, but that's for another time. Right now, let's get into the last show. I'm just gonna save Hathaway's Flash for later because it's not a complete story, and I already know that there's 2 other films coming, so I'm just gonna take this off the list for now. Maybe some other time, but yep, see, last show of the season, Odd Taxi. Let's do it. Well, that certainly was an ending, I'll tell you that much. Wow. Like, I know I said these are gonna be, like, have spoilers in them, but I'm gonna not touch that last episode for this video. But just know that not only is it a fucking phenomenal twist that I had no idea was coming at all. Like, even though they, in hindsight, they dropped so many fucking hints about it. A, I didn't see it coming at all, and it was fucking cool. And B, it also is like basically an umbrella catch-all for a lot of the different themes that have been running through this series. So, that's my take on the ending. Fucking phenomenal. I understand why everyone was hyped about it now. The series on the whole, though, I didn't dislike it. I'll say that much. I thought it was good. Very good at some points. But I was not as hot on it as other people were. So yeah, this is a very... I've heard this described as, sorry. I've heard the series described as, Odd of Taxi Driver meets Zootopia, sort of. And that's sort of an accurate description, but it also has a lot more, societal themes running through it. Like, it talks about like pop idols and like the parasocial relationships that come with pop idols. It talks about self-worth through monetary gain versus just the self-worth you define yourself through. It talks about, what else does it talk about? I'm trying to talks about fucking gotcha games and how they they manipulate your brain, but it takes it in a more, but it isn't like just a direct attack on gotcha games. It more so tackles the human need that is manipulated by gotcha, and it just takes that in a broader sense. That's episode 4. That was probably one of my favorite episodes aside from the ending. The last 2 episodes are fucking great. Well, I don't know if I would put episode 12 in. There is a twist there is like a, it's not a twist, it's a payoff. There's a payoff in episode 12, the second to last episode, where I just started yelling, "Oh no," at my TV screen because like I saw it happen. I was like, oh, that happened. Oh no, because you slowly piece together all the different elements that have come together. Like, overall, like, I'm starting to see how people were citing this as, like, a great, like, suspense thriller of sorts. Suspense drama, kind of. Like, this is definitely one of those shows where it really builds all of these different elements that all come together in a meaningful way for the conclusion. I don't know how it would hold up on a rewatch, knowing where all these elements are going, but I think the individual episodes would definitely hold up because they, like, even the individual episodes that seem totally disconnected from everything else have a purpose in the finale. Like that gotcha episode, when I watched it on its own, it seemed almost like a totally episodic story just completely divorced from the rest of the series. And at the end, when it paid off at the end, it was just so interesting. Yeah, this was a really... I'm not going to say I was totally hooked the whole time. There were some moments where I was, like, waiting for more stuff to happen because a lot of it was just... There's a lot of setup. And that's fine. But sometimes the setup isn't as interesting as other setup. Like, there are moments of brilliance where the setup is thematically interesting and has something to say. And then there's just more setup where it's just like, it has to set up this plot point for later. But, yeah, so that was fun. For the most part, the characters are all really fun, except that fucking monkey. I hate him. I really do. I understand the role he plays in this story, but I fucking hate him. He is an idiot. Like, a delusional idiot. Even more so than the gotcha guy. He's just straight up dumb. Which is weird because there is another character in this series that is whose sole trait is he is fucking dumb, and even that guy was smarter than the fucking monkey. Yeah. Yeah, there was just so many fun characters. Loved the idol group. Loved what that had to say about idol culture and just the pursuit of fame. Although I have to say my favorite character, no surprise, is Yano, the rapping mob vice boss, I guess. Like, not only does he rap, I don't remember if it might have taken a little while for the subs to like catch up to like actually get into the mode of like trying to convey that he was rapping, but once it did, like, or maybe I just wasn't noticing it at first, but once you realize that he's rapping whenever he speaks, like this, watching the subtitles for it is just so fun, like to see the rhyme scheme, and the dude picks some awesome beats. Like his taste in beats are like, it's every single one was like, oh damn, I'm grooving to this. I'm vibing, man. You are a king. I need like a spin-off OVA of Yano trying to be a rapper or something. I want that. I want him like to be in like a rap battle or something. I really want that. Yeah, there was someone. Okay, I'm gonna say that just for the setup of. Now I don't want to give away any hints about the ending because there's one. Like I was thinking of like who my favorite characters are, like Yano, Rui, the main pop idol, Odokawa, obviously the main character, was really good. Shimakawa, I think was her name, the alpaca one, surprisingly interesting character. Who else? There was another one I really liked. There was a fucking YouTuber / Twitter dude who was trying to go viral, and it had a lot to say about internet fame. Like, that was a whole arc for like half of this show that was really fun and entertaining. The gorilla doctor was really cool, but there's one character who is like mildly interesting for the whole thing, and then as the end credits in the finale are playing, this character, something is revealed about this character that makes you go, holy shit. And they immediately skyrocketed to the top of my list. Like, top 5, definitely. But, yeah. This was a really fun thrill ride. Not always entertaining, but mostly entertaining. Animation was also pretty decent. I was expecting a little more, I guess, based on the hype for it. But it was pretty standard. And I saw some trademark faults of OLM. As a Pokemon fan, I have watched a lot of OLM animation. And there are some things they do when they are not 100% on their A game, and I caught them a few times. There are things that are very OLM to do. But overall, it was a pretty competent production. It was a co-production with a studio called, like, PICS, I think? Pix. Never heard of them before this. Might just be like a production committee studio or something. Who knows? But, anyway, yeah, really solid ending. I don't know how I feel about swapping this with Heaven's Feel, because I thought Odd Taxi would be the stronger finish than Heaven's Feel, but I think Heaven's Feel was the better thing overall, a much more enjoyable thing overall. But, still a really solid end to the spring season. So that about covers it. Let's go to the list. Alright, let's take this one out of here. That's the last one. I already figured out where to put it. It was a surprisingly easy place to put it. We're going to put it right above Pui Pui Molcar. So, Odd Taxi gets a light 8. Again, like, I didn't love the whole thing. That's why it's not higher up on the list, but still a really solid finish. So that covers all of spring. But, of course, there's one other show that's out. Wrong zoom, son of a fuck. So, guess we'll be getting to that soon. Stay tuned for more. Fuck me.